goodness.
Matt, I want to ask you the recent violence. I want you just to talk to us about what this means in the hearts and minds of libertarians, because we've seen, my own Politichicks organization now is taking cookies to cops. They're saying, we want to thank the people that we do call for help when we are in trouble, when something happens in our lives. We do call the police for help, and nobody, no matter how anarchist or whatever they are, they're still going to probably, if something happens to them, they're going to call the police. And there are good police officers. I don't think anyone in the country would deny that. However, we do see a growing government. We do see, I've reported on a growing brutality within departments. This isn't a black or white issue, but what do you see transpiring, Matt, as you've watched the racial strife progress to the killings of the police officers at the New York Police Department this week? What goes through your mind?
Right. Well, like a lot of people, I'm at no shortage of things to be disgusted by with these recent events. So on the one hand, some of the things that the police have done, I think, have been horrible and repulsive and shocking. I don't. I'm a kind of mild-mannered person. I don't get angry when I read the news very much, even when I'm reading about things that I strongly disagree with on a philosophical level. But when I watched that video of Eric Garner being choked to death, it was really hard for me not to get just kind of viscerally angry. So there's been too much of that going on. And on the other hand, it's, again, hard not to be shocked and disgusted by what happened to those police officers in New York who, as far as we know, themselves had done nothing wrong.
Right.
Were fine,
right.
upstanding individuals. So it's tough to know what to make of this. There's a lot of anti-police sentiment now, especially among libertarian circles who I think libertarians tend to have a fairly skeptical attitude towards the police anyways. They tend to have a fairly skeptical attitude towards authority in general, and especially the police, the kind of strong arm of the state. Libertarians tend to be distrustful of them. Not so much myself, but I've seen that kind of skepticism and resentment even growing among libertarians, and it's not without some justification, but I do worry that sometimes it goes too far, and I think your friends who were bringing cookies to cops are doing a great thing, and most of the cops that they're bringing those cookies to are doing a great thing and deserve our thanks for protecting us and protecting rights that even libertarians, I think, would agree need to be protected.
It's hard. It's complicated, and it's a lot of gray area, Matt, and I know you see that. But I guess for me, I'm starting to see, once again, people who agree on fundamental things like smaller government, like free market, really dividing themselves, when I never see this on the other side. You aren't seeing the division, for example, at least not publicly. Even the whole big thing, the big brouhaha between Elizabeth Warren and Hillary was kind of swept under the rug. Things like the fact that the New York Police Department labor union bosses endorsed both de Blasio and Obama, and all we're hearing now is, well, the police department de Blasio have come to not appreciate each other very much, but that doesn't change the fact that consistently, police departments across the country, especially those that are unionized, support big government promoting politicians. So where is the come-togetherness here? How can we take those who appreciate smaller government and those who want more free market economics and communicate with one another and not get bogged down in good cop, bad cop arguments? Or do you understand what I'm saying, Matt? How can we turn this into a positive on our side of the aisle who do believe in smaller government and free markets?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the problem is that people confuse questions about moral character with questions about institutions, right? So we see a story like the Eric Garner story, and our immediate response is to ask whether this cop was a good cop or a bad cop. or whether Eric Garner was a good guy or a bad guy. Did he deserve it in some way? Did he have a criminal background? That's the way I think we're just kind of hardwired to see these issues in very personal terms. And I think that's what divides us. That's where things get divisive. But I think if we focus, instead of on the personal issues, on the underlying questions, opportunity for libertarians and conservatives and even Democrats, I think, to come together. If we ask, that is, why is this happening? What are the underlying dynamics that brings us to the situation where we have a cop choking a guy to death on the street for selling cigarettes? Right?
But see,
and
they
want
simple answers, Matt. I might disagree with you on this, my friend, because I think they want to just the other side and the big government proponents and the ones who want to increase the size of government and have more debt and less freedom. Those people over and over again are just going to say racism. They're going to say racism every dang time. I don't think they want real answers.
And they're not wrong to say racism, I think, right? I mean, that's, to think that that's part of the problem is correct in my view. I mean, it is an important part of the problem. And so when Rand Paul fires back and says, no, it's cigarette taxes, and he completely ignores racism, that looks stupid, and everybody laughs at that. So, I mean, I think anytime you give a sort of simplistic answer like it's one thing that's leading to the situation, you're going to run into problems, and people on the other side aren't going to take you seriously. But if you acknowledge what they're saying and say, yeah, of course, racism plays a role, but what are the other institutional factors, right? We've got a war on drugs that has led police departments across the country to take on these. You've got armored vehicles and 50 caliber machine guns, right? And people cops walking out on the street.
But Matt, you can't think that
attitude.
But you can't think that drugs themselves are helping this situation at all.
I don't think drugs are helping the situation, but I think the war on drugs is making things much, much worse. I mean, that's a big government program, if ever there was one, right?
But aren't there more important big government programs like?
He's trying to avoid.
I was just going to say, aren't there more? And we're running out of time, so I don't. But I just want to say, I think that maybe there are more big government programs that we should be concerned about than the war on drugs. The libertarians always want to go back to that, but I'm worried about the NSA and the TSA and the IRS and the Department of Education corrupting our kids, and on and on and on and on. And I am the war on drugs just doesn't. I don't know how that becomes the pinnacle issue. We'll have to continue this conversation, Matt. I'm so sorry that we're out of time, but I do want to direct people to your website where they can read more about your thoughts, bleedingheartlibertarians.com. I always appreciate the enthusiastic dialogue that you're willing to engage in with me, even when we do disagree, Matt. And I think by and large, yeah, thank you. I think by and large, many of us